How are you doing today?
I'm great, Jen. How are you?
Doing so good. It feels like a Monday, but it is a Tuesday.
Yes.
Um, all right, and great. Yeah, are you good to go?
I am absolutely good to go. It's me and my borrowed Legos.
I mean, you win today for set design, 100%. I'm gonna
Yes.
use my game this week. Yeah. Yeah. So you're at somebody's house. You said that
Yes.
it's a hobby, right? Like
Oh
they.
yes.
Well,
They
yeah.
collect Lego sets and build them.
Wow.
So yes, that whole table and that back wall.
If we were to associate this person with a knight, who would they be?
Ooh, I think they're a blend.
And yeah, depends on
Definitely a blend.
yeah.
There's, I'd say there's some Knight of Cups, there's some Knight of Swords.
Yeah. On that note, welcome everybody. Today we were talking about knights, and
Yes.
we were just talking about how I've titled it according to how I feel. Hero to anti-hero, but there are plenty of people who like knights and have positive vibes and perspectives on them. So we'll talk about all of that today. I'm Jen West, and this is Suzanne Gordan. We're very lucky to have her here today again. She has been our court card expert and queen. So so appreciated. So
You
we were,
flatter me.
yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So we were, to start off with, we've been telling you guys that about how each court card associates with an element. Yeah. And this one's actually a little not tricky, but there's some mixed feelings about what that is for knights. And yes. I have seen some people that call it a fire element, and I believe you found some resources that felt very strongly that they're air.
Yes.
Yeah. And who were they again that you followed?
So she's an author, and she also does a podcast called Fortune's Wheelhouse.
Oh, cool.
So you can look it up on wherever you get your podcasts. Let me not tell you the wrong name.
Okay, look that up, and while you do that, okay, go ahead.
Yes, her name is T, as in like the letter T, period, Suzanne Chang.
Oh, great.
So she's got a great book called Tarot Correspondences, and she, especially if you're interested in understanding like the nitty gritty of court cards, she really breaks it down with tons and tons of tables. Wow. And gives you way more information than you ever realized there was about a single card.
So what I've gathered from knowing you for like the past year is that you have read a lot of books. And I have a question. Like, do you have physical hard copies of these books, or have you been reading them online, like as ebooks? Like, how do you accumulate these things?
Ooh, well, so it really depends. There are some books that I have only like in a physical copy. There's like the Ultimate Rider Waite, book. So I have that as a physical copy. But then, I have.
I like that book a lot.
Yes, I love it. And then, Biddy Tarot, Bridget Esselmont has a couple of tarot books that I actually have both physical and e-copies. And then I have some books that are really large that I just only have on my Kindle.
Yeah, I was curious, like if you had like an actual physical library or that.
Yeah, I do have a mini one.
Yeah, I bet you've got a collection happening.
Yeah.
So, which is like general keywords for knights. They're very outward. They're very energy, action focused.
Yes.
They're movement. They are supercharged in whatever element they're in. And we talked about the big umbrella that they all fall under, which is debatably air or fire.
Right.
But also each knight within each suit falls within a specific element and then a specific sign. Right. But yeah, they're mission oriented. They have stamina. They may have stamina when they should have long stopped having stamina.
Yes.
Like it's been very clear that they've been like spinning their wheels, but they still like feel like they need to try and keep going because there seems to be something else that is motivating them beyond the actual, like,
the goal or the
from the
mission.
outside.
Yeah.
You know, do you agree with that?
I agree. I also think that nights can also signify when you need to get off your bum.
Yep.
As well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you keep ruminating over whatever the question is, the issue is at hand, sometimes it's good to see a night that's kind of telling you, like, move in a direction. Don't just kind of sit still.
Yeah. And that's what makes nights interesting, is that dichotomy of opposites. It's like one or the other, and you have to figure it out. And like we were talking about earlier, that it's almost the only card in the deck, if you don't read reverse, it almost has a built-in reverse decision you have to make no matter what. Like, you have to figure out where you fall with this knight. Is he too much or is he too little?
Yeah.
And that to me feels like upright versus reverse, you know?
Absolutely.
And the Gemini, like we were saying too.
Yes.
It's fascinating. It's always fun to talk with you and with others about, because you feel like you know a card and you read it the same way for forever, and then you open up your mind and perspective to how somebody else might think about something, or allow a different, like, vibration to come with
Our
that
perspective.
and just from, like, preparing for this talk today, I have found that I like them more. Maybe a little bit. We'll decide later.
Yes.
I
mean, like, that's why I love tarot cards, because yes, there is sort of like there's a human designated set of definitions or keywords that go with each card, and I think they're great for a beginner to help guide you when you literally don't know what you're looking at, because you haven't really tapped into, like, your intuition and those thoughts that come to mind when you see the image. But I love it because the more you either practice it for yourself or more readings you get over time, you start to notice patterns and you start to develop a personal relationship with the cards, kind of like you would with a person. Because, like, certain cards, like you said, like, you haven't been the biggest fan of knights. I really love the knights and the way that they show up for me. And so, like, they're usually, kind of like light a fire under you type thing.
Yeah.
And so, it's just like, it's just great because, the cards just shape us in different ways, and they reflect back to us, different things about what's going on in our psyche, what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they have their own compatibility, vibes and energy with whoever it is that is being read for. And they change in that way too. Yeah. As any other card would. And I never really thought about this, but in the King's Court, back in medieval times or whatever, the knights serve the queen.
Yeah.
And I loved reading that. That kind of made me, like,
like the more
that's a little redeeming. Like, okay, that's your job. All right.
We know you love the queen, so you're like, okay, they're not.
Yeah, it's like protecting women and femininity. Like, they seem to see it in a way that's a little different, as worth laying their life on the line for us. It's an interesting.
Yeah, there's because most people, when they think of knights, they think of valor. They think of someone being valiant and being courageous and coming to the aid of others, more so than you would necessarily think of a king. Because you kind of I think a lot of people think of kings in terms of, like, political power. They're seated on the throne as a contrast. And then obviously the pages are extremely young. They don't really have a ton of power or influence. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, it's the knights that go out, rushing about, taking care of things.
Yeah. And they almost have just enough access to information and power to hurt them.
Yeah.
Like, they still are learning. They're more advanced than a page. They have more experience because they're a little older. Yeah. But it's almost like they can get themselves into that much more trouble because of that, because their power has allowed them to reach things that they haven't been able to reach before.
Absolutely.
So the Knight of Cups is Scorpio.
Scorpio.
I feel it. The Knight of Pentacles is Taurus. I also felt that.
Definitely feel that.
Yeah, I was like, that's like a no-brainer. The Knight of Swords is Aquarius. Whatever. The Knight of Wands, Leo. Yep, definitely. Or I wouldn't have been surprised if the Knight of Wands was an Aries.
I wouldn't have been surprised by that either. But that's the Queen of Wands.
Yeah. And rightly so. So we just talked about the fact that nights are too much or too little, that balance is needed no matter which way it falls. So let's go ahead and talk about the individual cards. Is there one that you're feeling first?
You pick.
Okay. Well, I feel like he spoke to us with Scorpio, and my nails might be purple because I've been picking blackberries today.
Ooh.
And I made blackberry pie. Oh yeah, I love that. I actually want to move my thing over so I can see your card better. Yeah.
Ooh.
Sweet.
Yes.
So there are two nights for me that I have always liked a little more than the other two, and this is one of the ones that I like.
Same.
Yeah. And I like that yours is female.
Yes, using the Modern Witch Tarot. You'll see that all of my nights, they do not look, they're not displayed in the traditional Rider-Waite.
That's awesome. Wow. The horses' heads in the same position. Like, I feel like we've got the attitude and still kind of the same feel. With cups, I said in the pages that I feel it's one of the things that I notice if a page or a king shows up, or any two of the three of the page, knight, or king shows up, I feel like there's a growth or a recession happening with a relationship, or about how somebody feels about whatever it is that we're talking about.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
There's like because I always think of cups being related to like an offering of some kind, a gift of some kind, either trying to give or trying to receive, because you can pour your cup into another person's cup, or you could have something pour into your cup. And I mean, if we look at the cup suit as a whole, like, you see that kind of imagery play throughout the whole sequence.
Yeah. And this, to me, obviously the page is the crush, the new relationship, or that attitude about something, and the newness, the naive, the knowledge is still to come about whatever is happening. This guy has decided, or this person has decided, they want it, they really like it, if not love it, and they're going for it. It feels like the pursuer to me. If what we're talking about, this is like, I'm going to be the one to be assertive here, and I want to I want this role. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, whenever I see this card displayed pretty much in any deck, I always think of like the classic romantic feelings or a romantic offer. It could be a person that just really focused on their, very intuitive, very in touch with their emotions. Again, the cup imagery, we talked about this, a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
This could be like altruism, or just like the spirit of giving or generosity of some kind. So like, either this could be the person that's asking the question, or it could be someone in that person's life.
Yeah.
It's like headed in their direction, or, obviously if it's reversed, not headed in their direction, like you said before. It's like, like the tables have turned.
Yeah. So if one were to look at this card and didn't read reverse, they can still choose which one they are. Are they too much or too little? Is there somebody or something they really want, that they feel emotionally tied and attracted to?
Yes.
If you find that you aren't giving any sort of signals at all, and you're being very passive and just waiting for them to come to you, this would be a card to say, like, get off your butt and say something, or give a signal, give somebody a bone here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and even too, depending on if there are other cards around it, and it's not just like a single card spread, depending on, if you got some more, cards that point more to the shadow side, this could indicate being a little out of touch with reality, like a little too far into your emotions, like you want something so badly that you're not seeing clearly. But, you know, again, it's,
And,
yeah.
you know, stalkers certainly fall under
Oh,
this.
goodness, yes.
Unwanted attention, unwanted affection.
Yes.
They seem determined to want to express despite what the other party's feeling.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've seen this card for, you know, people around me that say that may like have an interest in me, but I don't necessarily have an interest in them.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, okay, I should be aware of that because they're trying to hop my way. And I'm like, I'm trying to go out the back door like 7 of swords.
Yeah. And it also be saw like the 4 of cups where he's just kind of like,
yes, or just like, I don't want what you're offering. Yes, not interested.
Or the 2 of swords, like, you shall not pass.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, for me, the knights, besides the dichotomy and having to figure out which one you are, once you get a grasp on that, I feel like knights are a little easier to understand than kings and queens. I think pages
Yes.
are also kind of easy to get to. But
Yeah, I think they're a lot more straightforward when you see them.
yeah. We're moving here. This horse is moving. We're outwardly expressing. His face is showing. He wants to be able to show his emotion. And
Yes.
yep. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you how you felt like Scorpio ties in with this. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Scorpio, I know Scorpio is like generally associated with like sex, death, rebirth, if I recall correctly. So I guess it would, you know, I would make sense. Like you think of like cups in terms of emotions and romance.
Yeah.
The mysterious stranger, the mysterious suitor, you know. So there's like a little bit of mystery, a little bit of sexual tension there.
Intensity.
So, yeah.
It's just intense.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the Knight of Cups is intense in an emotional way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess they're all intense in whatever way they
Yeah.
are. Yeah. But that Scorpio is an interesting layer that I'm excited to tie some information into in like future readings. Let's go ahead and get what I perceive as the duds out of the way so we can end on a happy note.
Oh boy, wait, who's the duds?
I was like, yeah, and maybe, well, you know, maybe I'll change my mind.
I knew it. You hate this card so much.
Let me see your card. Let me see the art on it. That's really cool. I love that.
Yes. So
Man,
similar energy.
They're so aggressive.
Yes. I mean, even on my card, the writer's like facial expression is extremely intense.
Yeah, it's like nothing's gonna stop that person.
Nothing.
I mean, they have to be tripped or tied down. You know?
Yes. Even the horse on mine looks a little intense.
Yeah.
The horse's eyes are like, I'm in it to win. I'm like, okay.
Mine looks like it's got rabies or something. Like
yeah. Mine looks very sinister. His eyes are all black, and it's just like.
Yeah. Oh, they are. I just saw
yeah.
that. Yeah, because one of my screens was covering up the eyeball. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Woo! So, lots to say. And this knight wants to know. This knight wants to have access to information. He is in hot pursuit.
Yes.
Whether or not he is supposed to know or has access. Like, he's still gonna try.
Oh yeah.
On that one side, on the aggressive side.
Oh yeah.
Of course, we have the side where this could be telling somebody to like, dude, there's like maybe some information out there you could have if you would just try and just do some investigating or work to get to it.
Absolutely.
But normally, this card, 95% of the time feels like fucking aggressive, and maybe it's because cards speak to the reader as they understand them, and so it knows that I'm gonna translate them that way.
You're gonna read it as that, yeah. I mean, I read the Knight of Swords similarly. I get it in terms of like very aggressive energy, in terms of like aggressive like mental processes. Like if I have like a to-do list, let's say it's a mile long, and you know I'm pulling like a card for the day, and say this card comes up, you know, it's that's usually my mindset, where I'm like, I need to aggressively tackle as many of these as possible, and basically like get through them. So
Yeah.
it's like, just chop them down with this sword, just chop them down.
Yeah, and in that situation, that energy is needed. But I would counter, though, sometimes, is that anxiety inducing
Yes.
in the way that he goes about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Frames it,
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of sort of anxious energy behind this card. I mean, if you look at both of our cards and you see how the clouds are kind of jagged, or they're like, they're at an angle, you can see the movement because the way the trees are being blown by the wind. So I could even see this as like rushing headfirst into something without giving it actual thought. Where it's just like, oh, there's a problem, let me just try to do something to fix it, without really taking the time to assess the situation. Because maybe, like you mentioned earlier, you're missing key pieces of information to make a good decision. And you're just in the mindset of like, kind of like the fix it mindset. I just want to fix it.
Yeah. And don't they say like you tend to not like in other people what you possess?
Yes.
I totally identify with that. I mean, like, that's totally my life. I get it. And I don't like that about myself. It's something I want to fix. I don't like the anxiety and like it's almost like, I mean, I have OCD. I was diagnosed when I was in my early 20s. I have repetitive thought cycles. Yeah. And a lot of people do anyway. And
right, yeah.
And so I find that sometimes to be, I find that kind of stuff falls under him too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think this is like, I see this for myself a lot when I am just mentally, I'm anxious and I'm trying to either figure out how to get things done or how to solve issues. And like, it's usually just a reflection back to like, I need to slow down, take it one step at a time, even have more Knight of Pentacles approach. We want to talk about some, opposite energy here. So I get that a lot. I also get this card, when there's a tendency to be, not as focused on, say, collaboration, but very focused on like, I want what I want. I want to get my opinion across. And, and I think a lot of like the Five of Swords with this card as well.
Yes.
Is having similar energies behind them. Because there's that element of conflict. There's the Five of Swords is kind of like, haha, either you've lost, and you're kind of licking your wounds, or you're kind of the smug one that's won, but you might have won in ways that are not great.
Yeah, self-interest.
Yes.
Putting the needs of the self first. Yeah, you're right. Like, where is everybody else here?
You're just rushing off by yourself.
Yeah, like, where is the consideration for those he's leaving behind, or if he's running up to somebody in that manner, I'd be running away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who wants to be around this? Nobody.
Right. Or even this could be like an event that's just like events in your life or a circumstance that's just moving really quickly.
I like that. I like that. Mm-hmm.
And it could be good or bad, sort of depending on what's around the card.
I like that a lot. I think that's a very interesting perspective on that.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, sometimes you have to just take care of stuff, and I don't mind that as much. We just have to knock stuff out. But yes. I don't envy the fear behind it, the anxiety that comes with it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like a more positive spin on this, because I know like there's one author that sort of she gives sort of like an archetype to each of these knights. So the Knight of Cups that we just talked about would be like the romantic or the lover, the Casanova. But for the Knight of Swords, the archetype she gave was the warrior. And so another positive spin could, again, like we mentioned about the knights, is kind of like rushing to someone's aid. So again, depending on the question and depending on the neighboring cards, that could be a more positive way of sort of exuding this energy.
Saving the damsel in distress. But sometimes our help is needed.
Yeah.
If it's asked for and we are somebody's protector, then sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to when we hear sirens on the street and it's like the fire department.
Yes.
or whatever. And like they're essentially doing with this card is they're rushing, to whatever the destination is, ideally to save someone's life.
That's a great example. Yep. 100%.
So,
So
or rushing to your doom.
yeah. So at least
Yes.
a little bit. So the Aquarius tie-in for that one. I mean, I'm an Aquarius, and I'm just trying to think of how I feel about that. But
well, because Aquarius and the air is all about like intellect and ideas, and there's. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with the whole like age of Aquarius.
yeah,
And that's and like just Aquarius is associated with being like progressive, like in thought and action. Like it's about the intellect. It's about ideals.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this card can definitely, signify, your whatever ideals you're pursuing.
You feel it.
Yeah. And sometimes you go at it alone. Like there's no one else hanging out in this card.
Yeah. And that is very true. And I think I'm just in denial because I'm just in denial of air signs being associated with swords. So, I'm just never going to be.
So it's okay. It's okay.
I need some therapy about this. Because it's literally me in this card. So, speaking of aggressive cards, is there anything else you wanted to say about that Knight of Swords?
Knight of Swords?
Really quick. I think we mostly hit it.
Yeah, most of it.
I think any knight's at risk of experiencing burnout.
Yes.
Going to eventually run out of that energy.
Yes, absolutely.
So that is something to pay attention to. And I like that you put the archetype as the warrior.
Yeah.
So
which embodies that aggressive energy.
Yes, 100%. Here's the other dud that I did.
You don't like the Knight of Pentacles?
Nah. Honestly, Taurus made me feel a little bit better about him. I'm like, oh, okay, there's some humanity here. I feel it.
No, it's funny though. Whenever I see this card come up, I'm just like, oh god.
I know.
It's gonna take forever.
Yeah.
I associate this card with slowness.
With slowness?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, Knight of Pentacles.
Oh, I Absolutely. Guess that would be the opposite side. I associate it with the other side of being way too aggressive.
Okay.
I want to hear you go. I want to hear what you have to say. Well, the horse isn't moving. So you're right.
Yeah. But that's part of it. The horse, the horse is standing still. The rider in the rider weight, no pun intended, or in any of the other cards, like the rider's, kind of sitting there and is just focused on this one big coin. So whenever I ask questions in terms of like general timing or, along those lines, if I see this card come up, it's like, okay, it's going to be a minute. So no point in holding my breath. Or like I see it as sort of like a slow and steady progression towards a goal. Mm-hmm. Like if, you're asking about like, okay, well, what do I need to do to get from point A to point B? And this comes up somewhere in the spread. Like, to me, like this is going to take more time than say the Knight of Swords. Or even Knight of Wands. Yeah. Which we'll get to. Mm-hmm. So I a lot of times I see this card and I kind of groan inwardly because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever. That's usually how it comes up for me.
Fascinating. But I think we do have a crossover concept here. We just go a little bit different directions with it. Like this card is stubborn, is not easily pushed around, is bullheaded, and so that makes complete sense with what you're saying. For me, like he's like a bulldozer. He has a chip on his shoulder. He has something to prove.
Oh man!
And he is probably to me the most aggressive knight there is. Like this dude, he's probably so freaking soft on the inside, but he is hard as rocks on the outside, and he will just push his way through. He's a bully sometimes to me. He's somebody who always gets his way. To me, that feels like a forceful energy. I never really thought about it as forward movement. And so I
Right.
I like what you're saying about, because that kind of fits into what I'm saying too. I guess I'm not really seeing him as like, except for the bulldozer thing, but
Yes.
more like he's just like it's like a rock in the middle of a river,
Yes.
unmovable, and
Yeah.
he's claiming his space.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it could also, like, I've also seen this card in positive ways that can essentially, because there's a stability here, you know, there's a steadiness here.
Yeah.
I also see this card as like loyalty, like kind of grounded. I'm hanging around.
That was my bad attempt.
But like so like I've seen this card come up sort of as advice a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
I see this as like staying the course.
Cool.
Like if you're on a particular journey and you're feeling discouraged and this card comes up, I definitely see this as like, it's they keep going, you know, but it's just take it one day at a time.
I like that. I'm stealing it. Yeah. Like
you heard that, people. You heard that.
Yeah, I'm totally stealing it. I steal stuff all the time. I swear I hear things, and if I connect to it, then it just like instantly, it's weird. It like instantly becomes a part of my vocabulary for that card, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. Sometimes we do have to push through and just make stuff happen. Once again, I don't like the motivation behind it. I wish the circumstances were different. Like for him to feel like he has to like hold his ground and be so unwavering. But I'm glad that they are strong and can do that for as long as they need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you helped me see some positivity in this dude. I'm gonna thump him off. Just kidding. Oh, so yeah, the Taurus. We talked about that.
Yes.
The grounding. It makes so much sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's full on earth energy, grounded, stable, stubborn. I mean, it's all there in this card.
Whole everything. Yep. And I will say, actually, I like his color. I like the yellow. He's the only knight that has yellow.
In the background.
I think on your deck too. The other
yes, the only one.
Blue.
Yes, all of my others have bluish.
Yeah, shades.
Yeah, same.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It feels like a light.
Like the sun.
Something peaceful about that. Yeah, there's brightness. There's a brightness to it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, because yellow is generally positive, like generally positive. I can definitely see it as, you know, sort of like I don't know, like, you know, just like a blessing sort of around your efforts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Anything else you want to say about that dude?
Yes, the archetype for the Knight of Pentacles is the soldier, not to be confused with the warrior. You know, the warrior is kind of like rush in, chop off some heads, get stuff done. You know, the soldier is generally, you know, I always, in my mind, when I think of soldiers, I think of like people that are on the ground, you know, like in the middle of a battle. So they're low to the ground, they're doing the dirty work a lot of times, but they're still getting the job done. And, you know, and there's an element of being methodical to it that, you know, contrasting with like the Knight of Swords, where it's like, I'm just rushing in, whacking heads off and moving on. Whereas, you know, ideally, like soldiers have a strategy for how they essentially divide and conquer, or, you know, in this case, dividing and conquering, say, your to-do list, your goals, whatever it is that you're aspiring towards, your ambitions.
Yeah. That horse has black eyes too, but it's not as scary.
Yeah, I don't know what, like all the horses in my deck have black eyes, and I don't know what that's about.
That horse,
Dark Souls.
I know, it's like, I kind of like it. Dun dun dun.
All right.
The Casanova, the stud, the fire.
I love it. My favorite knights My
Yeah.
favorite nights.
The Leo is well suited here, I feel.
Yes.
And I know I threw out some like words that maybe weren't complimentary. I was like, hey, this is a Leo card. I actually love Leos. And
Thank you.
yep. My sister's a Leo. I love Leo. I love fire in general. Fire signs are some of my favorite. And, I only associated recently with this card because Samika said one time that he's like, this card reminds her of a Playboy. And I was like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I guess that could fall under the realm of what this card is. But for me, like this, I like this night. I don't think there's anything wrong with being on fire and being excited about what you're doing, as long as it's not too annoying for anybody else around you.
Yes.
This can be very excitable.
Yeah, I am. This is by far my favorite of the nights. Also because fire sign here. Got a lot of fire and earth in my chart personally. But I get this card a lot when there's a new endeavor, or I have like some really like great projects coming up. And it's, for me, this is like the energy of like enthusiasm and going forward into your dreams. Obviously on the other end, you don't want to be too like arrogant or overly excitable. You don't want to burn out.
Yes.
But generally this pops up as like positive for me.
Me too. Yeah. I like this card. I identify with that. My Aries rising speaks to it a little bit.
Yes.
And I know
also Aries rising.
Yes. You double fire.
Yes.
I love fire. I love fire signs. I love them so much. They just like make life worth living. They're just like lit.
Yes.
And on the opposite side of the spectrum for this dude is if you don't feel excited about anything, or you don't feel connected to move, and maybe exploring why that is, or giving some attention to discovering what could make you feel like ready to jump on a horse and just
go forward,
pull out, and to something that you just can't wait to see and touch and experience. Like, what is that? What lights that fire for you?
Yeah. Like what generates that excitement?
Yeah.
I also see this card a lot. If it's like in terms of being like an overall energy, like if someone were to do like a spread, just a spread for the day, or even like a spread for their week, if this came up as like the general sort of like energy or theme, I would say that you're going to have a busy week.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of things going on, which are probably exciting.
Yes.
And maybe some of them aren't as exciting, but there's a lot happening, and it's kind of like, that's great, but also just watch your energy. Make sure that you're just like taking time to take a breather, to rest.
Mm-hmm. I love this night.
Yes.
And look at yours. Yeah, that one's got a black eye too.
Oh yeah. So all of the horses look slightly sinister in focus.
and yeah, I would say the scariest horse in these cards, the Rider-Waite, is probably this one, because he's got the red and he just looks fierce. That horse just looks like I'm just ready to get some stuff done.
Yeah, I think it's because he's completely black, and then he's got like the red around him.
Whereas we can't forget this one. This one's like,
well, yes, that's the most aggressive one in my deck too, because he looks like, the horse looks like he would wield a sword too.
Yes. So this one, where are we in the list? Oh, here we are. This is the Adventurer.
Yes.
I'm glad you pulled those up. Those are fun.
They are very fun.
So some of the shadow words were selfish, careless, unfulfilled, which I can kind of see that if you're restless. Cockiness, ego, overconfidence, manic, hot-headed, temper certainly fall under that.
Yeah.
As if a Leo would ever have a temper. I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know what they're talking about either. We also do not have an ego.
What'd you say? Huh?
We also do not have an ego.
No ego, not at all. My sister, man, she was a Leo, and she would rip my hair out of my head growing up.
Oh my gosh.
But she has like permanent scars where like scratched her arm. So I got.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I love her. I have some. Okay, just really quick before we get to the fun, whatever we want to call that.
Yeah.
The what ifs situations. As events, nights can be or indicate journey, traveling, because we are moving forward and
absolutely
momentum.
Yeah, and it could be moving forward literally or figuratively. You know, especially in the case of like, you know, like Knight of Wands. I think we read for someone like several weeks ago, and they were trying to decide if they wanted to move or not. And then this card kept coming up, like several people.
Yes.
We did a reading, and we were like Knight of Wands, I think you should move.
Oh yeah, it was Ronan. Yeah,
yes.
I had totally forgotten about that.
Yeah, so like a literal move, but like with the Knight of Cups, it could be more of a figurative move, like, oh, we're moving forward in a relationship or a connection of some kind.
Yeah, that to me, that Knight of Cups can point to a like event too, like engagement.
Yes.
Something not really a marriage. It's more about
like a proposal. Like, let's take it to the next level.
To the other, yeah. Like what is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as events, they could be taking a risk, and job change or promotion, which relates, I think, to what you were just saying a second ago.
Yes, I definitely see like you know, we mentioned like Knight of Cups sort of being like taking a relationship to the next level. I definitely see the Knight of Pentacles in terms of like job related or investments, like something dealing with like our physical material world. I see Knight of Wands a lot in terms of like travel, like from a literal geographic location to another, or even just sort of like your own personal journey, like your soul's journey. Like just where, you know, just kind of wherever you are sort of like in, whether it's a creative pursuit or even a spiritual pursuit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that Wands relates to both of those. And then like Knight of Swords, I mean, that can be, I mean, you know, Knight of Swords is all about communication. It's about the mind. So it could be a matter of, you know, you dealing with others through like written or spoken means. It could even deal with documents of some kind, moving those along. It could be, you know, it could even represent someone that's part of their like profession deals with like communication.
Yep. And that's one thing we did hit on these being indicator cards, but that would be a great example of being an indicator card.
Yeah.
Representing somebody in your life that's like, just like them.
Yes.
Are you ready for the game?
I'm ready.
Today is, this night would most likely find themselves in this situation or scenario. Drum roll, please. As captain of the cheerleading squad. Some of these are going to be easy. Yes, that's
Wands.
That was a warm-up question. Also, this is a warm-up question. As the person who would propose over a jumbotron at a football game, because we just said it.
Definitely.
Yes, the grand gesture.
Yes.
As the boss brown noser.
Ooh, I definitely would say Pentacles.
Yeah, agreed. As the hiker on the Appalachian Trail with accessible Wi-Fi.
Wow. So I kind of, you know, it's interesting because I kind of want to say Wands and Swords a little bit.
Yeah, I was feeling Swords, but I could see Wands for that. Yeah,
only because of like I think of hike and adventure and also that.
Yeah.
But definitely like the Wi-Fi, yeah.
That's so fun. I don't know why I came up with that. As the partner spying on their significant other because they're convinced they are cheating. I'm interested to see what you say here.
Ooh, because I kind of want to say Swords.
Same.
I want to say Swords.
Overthinking it. Unless they're right.
Right, they could be right. And then they question what they're not.
Yeah, because that's definitely like putting, you know, connecting dots.
Yes, exactly. Like thinking through like, well, I noticed how they put their phone away when I looked at them that time, and I caught them texting.
Yep. That is very Aquarius feeling to me.
Yes.
As J-Lo's character in Hustlers.
Oh my goodness. So
We watch it first off.
I've not seen Hustlers.
Okay. Well, just think about a hustler, a female, like
Oh.
who is like in a role that you would normally see a man,
I mean, I still want to say, whew, that's a tough one. I almost want to say Swords, because I think there's a certain mentality that goes into that, like into sitting in the shoes of what would be considered a more masculine box. Because most people, when they think hustler, they definitely think masculine rather than feminine.
Yeah.
But I could also see a little bit of wands in there.
I can see a little bit of pentacles because it's all about the money,
That is true.
That's a tough one. It's multifaceted, I think.
Yeah, because I don't know. I kind of think more, when I think of like all about the money, I kind of think of King of Pentacles more so, which is next week.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, that's next week, y'all.
You must join us. Agreed. I don't normally attach money to the Page of Pentacles, but if one of the knights were to be money oriented, I would imagine it would be the knight. But you're right. It doesn't normally talk about money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just more about perception of success, I feel like.
Yeah.
The over-caffeinated valedictorian running over their speech time by 30 minutes.
I'm going to say Swords.
Yes! Or wands, because they're great at standing. Yeah. Because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, so we get a lot of blends here.
Yes. As the hallway pass monitor.
Oh my God, hallway pass monitor? I want to say Pentacles.
Yeah.
I want to say Pentacles.
You kind of want to say Swords because of the rule follower, but
right.
But the Pentacles is like, you shall not pass.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I am the wall.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pentacles wins that. As the person who changes clothes in front of their window for all the neighbors to see.
Wands.
Yeah.
Definitely wands.
Definitely wands. As the hobbyist who can't sleep at night because their bowling game is under 200.
Swords. I'm gonna say Swords. I just feel like the thought process.
I don't know why I was thinking Pentacles, but because there's something to prove there, but to who?
There is.
It could be Sword. I think Swords feels better. I'll side with you. As a social influencer with over 1 million followers.
Definitely wands.
You just handed you that one. This is the last one. As a person who asks the same tarot question over and over again, expecting to get a different answer. And it's never gonna happen.
Oh my gosh. I would say, I kind of want to say Swords again.
Yeah. I can see it being Cups, because it's usually a love question that people ask a lot over and over again.
That's actually true. Depending on the question, I would say either Cups or Swords. Like if it's a relational thing, it's probably your Knight of Cups friend. And, if it's sort of like trying to figure out like the solution to say a different problem that doesn't involve the heart, it's more of the head, I could see the Knight of Swords. Being like, give me an answer so I can fix this.
Yep. I mean, and even if it is a Cups type person, they're still overthinking it, so it is kind of still the Swords.
Yeah, it's a little, because I think of all of the Sword cards, like a lot of them are like, hi, you're overthinking, Knight of Swords.
Yes.
Hi, you're bound by crazy thoughts, 8 of Swords. Or hi.
Oh no.
Wow. A lot of obsession in that suit.
We're all guilty of asking the same question over and over.
Yes.
It took me about 15 years to learn that doesn't work. So
it does not work.
Everybody has time to figure that out.
It's like accept the answer and then make choices accordingly.
Exactly. Well, that's all I have for those.
Yeah.
It's been a fun one. I knew it would be.
It is really fun. So remind me again, out of the 4, are knights sort of like your fourth favorite?
Um, I would be lying if I said that my opinion wasn't changing a little bit, but I would still say that they're, you know what? I just think kings are so boring for the most part. I would rather hang out with a knight than hang out with a king. So they're battling my bottom right now. What about you?
Yeah, I actually agree with you on the knights versus kings. But people, you should still check out next week when we talk about the kings.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make them so spicy.
Yes.
Ignore everything I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna put them in some real scandalous situations next week. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the knights. I mean, queens are my favorite.
Same.
Obviously. And I would say knights are second for me, and then pages.
Okay. Yeah. Pages are second
and then,
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
But
I think we both agree on kings.
I wouldn't be surprised though if I changed my mind about knights. Because they are kind of sneaking up on me a little bit.
They're not all bad.
I kind of love to hate them too. It makes me kind of happy to talk shit about it. So if they were gone, and then like they make it interesting.
They do. It would be a very boring court without them.
It would be a very boring court. Yep. Here to that.
Yes.
Well, you have a good week.
Thank
Suzanne.
you.
And we will be talking about some super exciting kings next week. So
Absolutely.
everybody come back and watch.
Yes.
Well, have a good night, and thank you so much.
All right. You too, Jen. Thank you for everyone that's watching or will watch.
Same. Thank you, everybody. All right. Bye.
Bye.